It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin, brought to you locally by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's heating and cooling experts. All right, three things I want to talk about in this segment. First, let's start with the running back situation because the Browns are thin. Did they bring anybody in? And they did add another guy.
Yeah, so right now the running back by committee looks like Kareem Hunt and Pierre Strong. They also signed two players to the practice squad, Nate McCrary and Jordan Wilkins. Those two moves were made. Now, Kevin Stefanski mentioned that those particular moves, one of those guys is going to be up on Sunday. He knows which one. He's not telling us which one. He, said we'll figure it out by the end of the week, but he has an idea which one will be the third running back. So they have given themselves a little insulation there. McCrary, he's a first-year player out of Saginaw Valley State. The Ravens signed him as an undrafted free agent back in like 2021. Had one game with the Ravens. He was with the Browns earlier this year, played in a preseason game. Wilkins, a little more experience, so I'm guessing this is the guy that's going to be up because of experience. 6-year player. He's a former 5th-round pick back in like 2018 of the Colts. He's got 54 regular season games with 4 starts under his belt, 4 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 200-plus carries as well. Can catch the ball out of the backfield too, so he was also with the Browns during the preseason, so there's some familiarity with this offense. So my money is on Wilkins being elevated to the game day roster as a standard practice squad elevation at Seattle.
All right, Daryl, let's get to the next subject because new plans came out for the lakefront. And as I looked at those lakefront plans, Cleveland Browns Stadium definitely had a much different look, especially on the north side where things looked a little boxy up there. And it looked like there was some expansion in the stadium. They looked like, now, did I misread that? Or, I mean, you're looking at artist drawings, so you obviously know a little bit more about this. What's the latest on the lakefront development?
Well, let's start with the stadium design. I will say this. The space rendering that they did for this thing, there is some, how do I want to say this? Well, I'll get myself in trouble because I'm not supposed to reveal some stuff. I will just say it's an informed rendering. How about that? I think that's
okay.
That's a fair way to put it, right?
So, I mean, the outside of it looks like what they did to
Rocket Mortgage,
what they did to the Q, to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. But they expanded it out into an area where there's plenty of room to expand. Although there's an underground service area that they would have to reconfigure the underground service area over there. So
there's a lot that they're going to have to do. That's why the price tag is approaching $1.2 billion just to do a renovation. As far as like what the city is, proposing and like wanting to do, it looks great. Okay. Let me say that first and foremost, it looks great. I just don't know feasibility, Andy, of having the stadium where it's at going forward. I don't. I have a lot of reservations, a lot of questions about it. I don't know that it fits in that particular spot, but the stadium remains at the center of this plan that the city of Cleveland has, put out there that they're, going to do or that they would like to do, when you talk about this lakefront redevelopment. But yeah, I maintain the Browns need to get off the lake. I feel strongly about it.
Do you think the Browns want to get off the lake?
I think the Browns are willing to do whatever they have to do to get what they want as far as their stadium situation goes. So these are, I'm pulling up I've been trying to pull up my renderings from the city of Cleveland here. So as I look at it, the land bridge is included.
Right.
They want to put green space over the parking garage behind like City Hall and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to basically turn the Shoreway into a boulevard, which I think that's going to be a nightmare, a traffic nightmare.
I don't know. I think about Chicago, and you can see where it was there, and it's not a nightmare there. And they're
yeah,
a lot
well, but
bigger to begin
here's
with.
why it's a nightmare, because the inner belt is a nightmare at times. Okay, and so when
Well,
you're
but
talking
you're
about
essentially, I mean, if you can get rid of Dead Man's Curve in the process of this, then it's a win-win.
no, this has nothing to do with Dead Man's Curve. This
Well, if you're
is
turning that into a boulevard up there, right?
well,
If 2 becomes a boulevard, Dead Man's Curve's got to be affected in some way.
Dead Man's Curve becomes even more important because that's the only way to get around downtown on a freeway.
Right.
Okay.
Well, remember at one point they were talking about getting rid of the exits downtown.
Yeah, well, that's
ridiculous too.
That's
what they would be doing.
The East 9th Street exit goes away. Like this is, I just, again, this looks good. It's very impractical.
Yeah, I was talking about Prospect and Chester. Those, I mean, that
like,
I don't see a world where those should go away.
If anything, what they should do is bury the Shoreway, build on top of it, so you still have that freeway going through downtown. You can still get off at East 9th Street, but you're basically choking off access to the northern part of downtown Cleveland, the lakefront. You're choking off freeway access, and you're creating very limited entrance points to those. I think it's going to be a traffic nightmare. But so these are some of the things that they want to put in and around Cleveland Browns Stadium. They got rooms for some commercial development. They got something that they're calling a village north of the stadium. They got urban promenades. They got a food hall and market. They got an amphitheater. Now that sounds really cool.
For the Rock Hall in particular?
Yeah, no, it's over. This is in front of the stadium, actually.
Okay.
They've got, let's see here. They got some kayak access. They got some wetlands they want to put in. They've got some lake ledges. Basically, that water feature they have on Public Square right now, where you can like walk through it and stuff. Looks like they want to build one of those on the lakefront. They want to put some cafes and cookout areas and a little bit of a beach area or sun area. There's some lawn and park space, and like I said, I just feel
is the airport going away in this thing or not?
No, the airport can't go away. We're stuck with Burke Lakefront Airport.
We're not stuck with that thing.
We are.
Come on.
It's going to take 20 years.
If Chicago could get rid of their airport, we can get rid of ours.
St. Louis needed 2 decades to get rid of their regional airport, because as long as the FAA is pumping money into Burke Lakefront Airport, that resets the clock on being able to shut that thing down.
Why can't the FAA just put some more money into? How about take that area where they were talking about building a stadium out by Hopkins and extend whatever they need there, or put it into Cuyahoga County, or put it into Lost Nation. I mean, I know that like one of the only benefits of that airport being there,
people like using Burke Lakefront Airport.
Yeah, because they don't have to stay in Cleveland very long, because it's an easy place to park your plane. But if you have a private plane that's a little bit bigger, you still can't park it there. You have to go to Hopkins. Yeah. If you have a private plane that's like a little bit bigger than some of the jets, obviously, that you can see fly in and out on game day, they still have
if you have a Donald Trump plane, you have to fly into Hopkins. And there are not many people not named Donald Trump that have one of those planes.
That's not necessarily true. Like I'm
giving you a hard time.
I know. I've got a little.
You're in no mood to deal with my chicanery today.
I don't care about your chicanery. Burke Lakefront Airport is the biggest waste of space. Is the biggest waste of space in a 7-county, 17-state area.
It's not going away.
Get rid of the thing.
I know, but it's not going away. I'm just telling you, it's not going away. They can't get rid of it. Like they just can't. But I
see what Chicago did, and I look at where that airport used to be there, and I'm like, why can't we? Maybe we just need more corrupt politicians and can get rid of it quicker. How's that sound?
Well,
somebody that can fast track this thing to get rid of it.
I think that
isn't there NIL money for the FAA? Can we get some NIL money for those guys?
Well, brought to you by American Airlines. Anyway, or Spirit Airline. What's the really bad airline that everyone hates and complains about? Never mind.
I don't. You know why I won't say there's a bad airline? Because if I'm on it, I don't want to jinx
we
myself.
may need them to sponsor this podcast. Anyway,
that's fine with me. Yes,
they're all great airlines. Anyway, so but look, the stadium just is a fish out of water in this plant. Like
agree.
It's stuck in the middle of all of this great stuff that they want to build. And they got to get this thing off the lake and use that lakefront for the type of stuff that the city wants to, right? And the other thing too is there's an economic component to this, and that is like Cleveland's got to get out of the stadium business. Plain and simple.
I agree.
That stadium is owned by the city of Cleveland. Like I can't get my neighborhood streets paved, but they got the money, to put into the stadium to fix stuff that they have to fix to keep people safe there. Like, police and fire and other city services. And like, it's a big chunk of money that stadium costs pretty much on an annual basis now to maintain for the city. So they got to get out of this. This is a regional thing. This is a county thing. This is a Northeast Ohio thing. This is, the state's probably, they probably want the state to kick in some money here too. But like, right now, it's the last time they renovated this thing, and it was only $125 million. And I say only because when you compare that to the $1.2 billion, this one's going to cost 10 times that cost, right? Everybody lost their what because the city of Cleveland committed to $25 or $30 million over 15 years, like $2 million a year toward the stadium, and everyone went bananas over it, even though the Browns financed $100 million of it themselves, and they did that by selling the naming rights, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But like, what are you going to do now with the city owning a stadium that needs to be $1.2 billion in renovations? Like the Cleveland just does not have that kind of money here. They just don't. Everybody that has money does not live in Cleveland. They live in the freaking suburbs. And then all the suburb people come in and they bitch and complain because the roads suck and the parking sucks and this sucks and that. Well, live in the city. Like, that's the thing, they're building all this housing downtown and whatever. There's so much urban sprawl right now that, I read a study where like most Browns fans, the vast majority of Browns fans, they don't live in the city of Cleveland. The ones that enter.
Well, that's true of all the pro sports teams in town.
No, but that's my point. Like,
that's why, have you ever heard the Guardians or then Indians say, we might be better off if we were on Rockside?
Yeah. Mark Shapiro said that they were better off building the ballpark in Independence than in Cleveland because they'd have bigger crowds because people don't.
And Atlanta's living proof of that. I mean, they had a brand new ballpark that was reconfigured in '96 from the Olympics, and the next thing you know, a little bit more than a decade later, they're out of there.
Yeah, and you look at some of the big, SoFi Stadium, Jerry World. The Viking Stadium's a little bit of aberration, but it's not necessarily downtown Minneapolis. It's a little outside of downtown where there's room for parking lots and stuff like that. Like, so when I look at this plan, you basically are going to have to walk a bunch because you can't get cars down to the stadium, which, by the way, on game day, you can't get cars down to the stadium past 10 a.m. If you have a parking pass.
I know.
I'm explaining to people, like, if you have to have access to the stadium and even you have a pass, if you're not in by 10 a.m. or 10:30 at the latest, you can't get to the stadium because they choke it off. And so I just think, like, convenience, like, fans want to tailgate. They want to eat and drink before the games and stuff like that. There's no tailgating here in this plan. And I'm not criticizing the plan, understandably so. So, like, one of the tailgate lots, by the way, the West Third lot, this plan, Andy, guess what goes away?
The West Third lot.
West Third lot's gone. That's where commercial development is slated to go. So this is not a football stadium friendly plan. It's as if the city of Cleveland is seeing the open space around the stadium and like, okay, here's all the stuff we can fit around the stadium. But like, I don't know that much of it really enhances the fan experience, so to speak. And that's why I love this plan. I think it's great. It's about time Cleveland is moving forward with something to do some of that lakefront. I just think that the Browns need to commit themselves to getting away from the lakefront, build something new, elsewhere, easily accessible for fans by car, okay, and where fans can tailgate and do what they do now, because this new plan takes away 2 major tailgate lots and also takes away a chunk of the Muni lot.
Smell it coming, brother. Smell it coming. Daryl, thank you very much. Always appreciate your insight as we get forward to talking about what's next for the Cleveland Browns. And we do know what's next. It is the Seattle Seahawks. It's a late afternoon game for after 4 o'clock start here Eastern time. So we will have our post immediately following that as well. So make sure you're in for that. We appreciate you watching on YouTube. We really appreciate you listening on the Odyssey app. For our amazing producer, Meredith Kane, he's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. It's always game day in Cleveland.